and shareholder of Gray Robinson, going to join us. You guys remember him. He's the one who asked Jimbo Fisher, where's the loyalty? Back in the day. He's going to join us, and we'll talk about the ACC, Florida State and the ACC, and that litigation, get you an update on that. Obviously, we have the NFL that just played out, and then we have a brief mention of the bubble. I can't ring the bell, Tom. How are you, buddy? Can't ring the bell. I was looking forward to continue to ding, but no dice indeed, so no ringing of the bell. Won't spend a lot of time on it. I will gloss over that. And then we've got Florida State football to talk about, too, because some kids are coming back, and we had some visitors over the weekend. But most importantly, I guess I should lead. If we're going to do a central theme Florida State show, I should lead with the fact that Josh Farmer is coming back. And I'm going to go ahead and toot my own horn here. You'll remember the show. It was the Jeff Cameron show, Tom, that December, I told you Josh Payton wasn't going anywhere. I mean, Josh Farmer wasn't going anywhere. I told you Patrick Payton wasn't going anywhere. And I thought Darrell Jackson would be back. And now all three, hey, all's right with the world. They're all back. Here we go.
It is a good thing. It is a good day to have those particular players. I'm still going to set the over-under at 1.5 instances between now and camp in August of somebody scaring us on social media for no reason whatsoever.
Well, that's what they did originally, Tom. Sorry to interrupt. That's the thing. I'm getting better at this. You know, I'm big on these things, reading teams, reading people, reading body language, and now reading social media, which I don't like to do. But I just get the sense that these kids are really reactionary. Some kids are a little bit more reactionary than others. Things don't go the way that they want them to go. The frustration bubbles over. And in a moment, because it's at your fingertips, because it's easy to do, they lash out and they post something or they say something online that they don't necessarily mean. And I'm getting better at reading who these guys are. And not all of them, not all the guys operate the same way, but this seemed pretty easy.
I still believe that the over-under before fall camp is 1.5 moments where you go, well, that doesn't sound so great. It's kudos, obviously, as they did last year, to the Battle's End for handling the retention side of the operation, which is good.
Absolutely, yep.
And now your defensive front, with Grady Kelly coming in addition to some of the younger guys like a Daniel Lyons, like a KJ Sampson, you got these two frontline players on the edge, in the middle. And then on the edge, you obviously have Patrick Payton.
Oh, you got great rotation, Tommy. You got a rotation right now here.
Yes, and you've got specialized types of bodies. Lolo Hea and Duro Jaye are going to set the edge for you more like Keir Thomas. And then Patrick Payton and Marvin Jones are going to get after the passer for you. And Byron Turner is going to be in that mix as well. So, you're going to keep your guys fresh, assuming this is your starting defensive line all the way into the season. You've got a real fighting chance to have your first wave and your second wave giving you big numbers, staying fresh for the big moments later in the games. We know that this year, with a huge drop-off in star power at edge, they still rotated guys pretty aggressively. So this bodes well the way they want to rotate, that you're going to be fresh in those third and fourth quarters when the game's on the line. And if you're playing an offense that likes to run the ball, you can stack it a certain way against that. And if you've got a team that likes to throw it and chuck it around a lot, you can pin your ears back. Marvin Jones on one side, Patrick Payton on the other. That's a way to close a football game right there.
Yeah, I like having versatility, obviously, and I like knowing that you retain guys that have been very productive for you already to kind of set the tone. And with these new guys that are coming in, this is going to be a better defense than I thought as we ended the season. We were all kind of really, really, really quite worried about what that was going to look like. They filled a lot of holes there. They have found positions of need. They even brought in a linebacker, as we know, from Alabama. I think they have a chance to be pretty good here, especially with all that talent in the secondary. They just had to solidify what they were doing up front. And every day that's gone by over the last 10 or so, we've gotten another check mark in the box of solidifying the front. And that, to me, is the biggest key of the offseason. Now, as with all of this stuff, you take it with a grain of salt. You know as well as I do, and as you just alluded to, that maybe somebody will do something to make you nervous, or somebody will get pissed off, or somebody will try to snatch a guy from your roster, because that's what's ongoing. This is what college coaches are dealing with by the hour. Like, I doubt they put their head on the pillow at night and feel very good ever about what they have. They think they know, but they know they don't really know, and they're really one minor piece of drama away from losing a guy, or having a guy get angry, or having to re-recruit a guy, or whatever it might be. But I like the stability of what we have with the battles in. And then, of course, what Mike has always been able to do and his staff has always been able to do in the portal. And so you're continuing to build it up. By the way, this is a good week. This is a week where we'll get some schedule reveal. And you and I love the schedule reveal. It's weird. It's like list season. And I love list season. Always have. Makes me laugh at myself. I laugh at myself. I'm the victim of countless silly stories in which I just click because I can't help it. It's a list. But this one matters. This is who you're playing and when and what time and where and all that good stuff. So that kind of stuff I love. And that leads us to Thursday's show, which will have our first edition of W's and L's. That's this Thursday, W's and L's.
I can't wait for that, man, because we know an awful lot about how the schedule is going to line up. We heard the whispers, obviously, of Labor Day weekend coming back from Ireland, that you're going to have a game with Boston College. So that might be today's reveal, is they're doing week 1, not week 0, but week 1. So we likely are expecting that. Then you got Memphis 2 weeks later coming to town, which is strange, but you were playing Memphis. And that likely means that you're looking at a bye in between week 1 and week 3, because this is a weird year too. I think everybody gets 2 Saturdays off this year. Florida State's going to get 3 because of playing in Ireland. So there's going to be this disjointed, segmented nature of the schedule. So once it all lines out and you see where Miami fits, Miami earlier is better. I think we all agree playing them earlier is better for Florida State. Where does Clemson fit on the schedule? Is there going to be a Thursday or a Friday game? That's part of their little intentional leak tomorrow, is specialty Thursday, Friday games. We're searching for, I think, 6 or 7 of our opponents, what weekends we play them, but there's 10 weekends that they could all land. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to sort through. And then the W's and the L's, man. The optimistic side has always been the winner in recent history with Mike Norvell.
Well, because we thought he had the right modus operandi. We thought he was on solid footing. We thought this was being built on something that was real and sustainable, was tangible, was something that he lived and illustrated with his actions on a regular basis. And of course, the coaching staff did a good job, an extension of Mike around every turn, of facilitating that. So I've always been very impressed by that. To the NFL, we now know who we got. AFC, NFC championship games this weekend. I will say this. We mentioned it on Friday's show, Tom. I thought Green Bay, San Francisco would be really good. 6 of Green Bay's first 7 possessions, they get inside the 25-yard line of San Francisco. You think they're kicking themselves today? They were the better team for much of that game and did not win it because of red zone problems. Obviously, they missed a kick as well, which what else is new with that guy? Why do they keep rolling him out there? He sucks. I don't care that he's a rookie and with a huge leg. That cost him dearly during the course of the year, cost him dearly in this game. A big drive, obviously, for San Francisco. One thing about Shanahan that I'm noticing, and I've seen it, it's a trend in the last 2 years. Why is he coach scared? They got weapons galore. Why are we always coaching scared? I don't know if the answer is that he doesn't trust Purdy, which he seems not to. Certainly doesn't in inclement weather, and I wouldn't either because he doesn't play well. Should have been a pick 6 right out the gates. But from there, made throws late, so you got to give him credit for that too. That team is loaded. They shouldn't coach scared. I love that guy from an innovation standpoint and the way he schemes up an offense. But, man, that at the end of the half nonsense, what are you doing? It's bizarre. He's so afraid of somebody else having an opportunity at the end of the half to kick a field goal that he cost himself 7 points half the time. It's ridiculous with the way he calls plays in those situations. It almost came back to bite them in the ass.
No, Green Bay, I think, was the better team, and I hope that the NFL Playoff Selection Committee looks at that this week, and when they're choosing the NFC Championship game, they'll have the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Green Bay Packers because, look, they're just better. All caps. They're just better, and Green Bay was just better. Watch the games. I don't care what the scoreboard says. The Packers were the better team, but they weren't men enough to finish that particular task. And
they were not. They were not. And that
was. And look, man, our Bucks had a shot yesterday. 10-10, good field position twice in the third quarter. You don't do anything with it, and then the Lions' offense went to a different place. Goff made about 4 or 5 throws yesterday, which tell you why years ago he was the number 1 overall pick. One of which was actually a third down throw to Laporta over the middle, which was brilliant into tight coverage. Then the touchdown to Amon-Ra was also a great play. We gave the Lions a chance to get hot, and then they got really, really hot by the end of the game. Bad third and fourth quarter for the Bucs defense.
17-17 in the start of the fourth quarter. So you're right in the game. You have a chance to win the football game. And obviously, they didn't stop anything over the middle all day. So it's not surprising that they attacked the middle of the Bucs defense in that situation. I think the Bucs must have given up the vast majority of every yard gained in that game right over the middle of the field. Nobody was going to adjust to anything over the middle, apparently. Bowles being chief amongst them. Okay, just keep attacking the middle. We'll make sure it's wide the hell open the rest of the game. That does not mean that I'm angry with this season. Far from it. What a gift of a season. When you go into a year expecting the Bucs to win, I think I said 4, maybe 5 games. They end up winning the division, winning a playoff game, and they're tied in the fourth quarter on the road with a chance to go to the NFC Championship. Nobody's bitching about that. Congrats to Detroit. That's a good story. I like Detroit. I got no problem with Detroit. Good for them. I think they'll go and lose to San Francisco, but it's not out of their reach, especially we talked about San Fran's defense waning as the year went on, and I'm a little worried about it. We'll see if they adjust. I think both teams will be able to score in that football game. Now, kudos to the Ravens. They dominate in the second half, really dominated the whole game. If not for a punt return touchdown, the Texans did nothing on offense. That's a lot of credit to Baltimore's defense. I thought Lamar played well. They made great adjustments. Talking about second half adjustments, I thought they played well. We got, as fans, we got what we wanted. We got a bunch of good games. I mean, we ended up, that San Francisco Green Bay game was awesome. That was a fun game to watch. And then it capped off last night with an incredible game to watch. Buffalo, in a weird way. See, I know nobody in Buffalo today can do this. And congrats to Kansas City. That's 6 straight AFC Championship game appearances for Mahomes. He's amazing. All that's true. But if you're Buffalo, pretty early in that game, you realize, oh, man, the injuries on defense mean we're not getting a stop. We are not getting a stop. So they did the only thing they could, which was hold on to the ball. Like, just hold on to the ball. They had an 8-minute drive. They had a 9-minute drive. They had a 7.5-minute drive. That's all they could do was hold on to the ball, which is the right thing to do. And at the end of the day, they put themselves in a position to have a chance. Didn't happen. And much like Florida State fans, we don't like to hear it. Wide right. It happens. I'm not sure it would have mattered if he had made it. Kansas City probably would have gone down and won anyhow. That said, you have some opportunities there on that final drive.
You do. Well, and the one before that, too. I think it's the deep ball to Diggs. That's the play of the game there where he drops it. And that's just killer.
Never again do you want to see him turn and bitch at Josh Allen. My man threw the ball from his 12 to the 26. From the 12 to the opposing 26 in minus, what was it? Well, it was 9 degrees, 20-mile-per-hour winds. From the 12 to the 26 and you drop that ball, shut up. Never again. Never another word. Yeah. Never another word.
He laid it in there. And you could look at the third down play where Romo is freaking out about Diggs being open underneath, and that's true.
He is.
But look, I would rank the Diggs thing as a more disappointing development than the third down play because my man's open over the middle, but Allen takes the hit as he's throwing.
Yeah,
in the end
zone. It's going to be a touchdown if he doesn't get hit. It's a great flush. Chris Jones.
Well, he made that throw last week against Pittsburgh, so it's not like he can't make that throw. That's a frozen rope typically if he's not getting hit as he delivers the football. But to me, that was the play of the game. If you're talking about the disappointing moment, the moment that the air is let out of the stadium, and it's just, that is an opportunity where you're going to go in, you're going to score. You need to take the lead on that possession to have a chance to win the football game. I agree with you. Even if that kick is good from Bass, you're lucky to get to overtime at that point. And if you do get to overtime, I don't know. I don't like your chance.
Yeah.
Because defense is you need a fumble. You need something flukish to happen to get out of that game. And the other thing is, given how hurt they are, I don't think they had much of a chance next week against Baltimore. Kansas City, on the other hand, does have a chance next week against
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Of their defense, yeah.
Well, yeah, and that look, Kelsey's come to life a little bit here. Obviously, he's got the 2 touchdowns yesterday, but the last 2 games, there's been a little bit more to it. Pacheco finally, they never figured out what to do with running backs for the longest time, but now they're committing to running backs, pounding the ball. Pacheco has been impressive 2 weeks in a row. They've got a little something for Baltimore. I don't think they're going to win, but they've got something for them.
Should be a fun game. I do think it's Baltimore's Super Bowl to lose here at this point. I mean, that team looks complete, and they're also healthy. They're also very, 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 very healthy. One final note here. This is an amazing stat. You'll hear it today because this is what we do on the talk shows. This is what people do, and this guy's not good enough. You got to move on. You got to fire these guys. You got to do all these things. Sometimes it's true. Sometimes it's not. I would just say this. If you're Buffalo, you stand pat, and you hope you're healthy next year. Josh Allen's played in 10 playoff games now. He's 5-5, and people will say, well, he should have won more. Well, I mean, it's not as far as defense blew a game with 13 seconds to play after he gave them the game, go-ahead score a year ago in Kansas City, all of those things. But 5-5 is the record. In those 10 playoff games, passing, rushing, and 1 TD reception on a trick play. He is responsible for 27 touchdowns, 4 INT, and he's throwing for 330 yards a game. Yeah, Josh Allen ain't the problem, everybody. That guy's not the problem. And that rope from the 12 to the 26, it'd be hard to look at Stephon Diggs in the face again.
So
I mean, how frustrated would you be?
I made the mistake when I launched my YouTube TV this morning. It auto selects for you. It's not even whatever the channel was on last. So I had it on last night on the game on CBS, and then it suggests based upon your habits what channel you want, and it goes straight to Get Up. I'm like, oh boy. So I stuck around because Ryan Clark was making a point, and of that desk, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he is.
Within 10 seconds, he and Orlovsky are shouting at each other about Josh Allen's legacy. And
well, you knew that,
man,
like, time to go.
Josh Allen's legacy? We're talking about, I mean, really, I get that you got some space to fill here over a course of a long period of time.
Yeah,
but like the B block is about Josh Allen's legacy. So it's like, all right.
But that's where that goes, man. That's where that always goes. And it's weird because it's like they force those guys to have an opinion that it's this guy or nobody. Like, look, Patrick Mahomes is incredible. Nobody's going to argue that. You'd be a fool to argue that. He's amazing. And he's had an amazing career, and he's well on his way to the Hall of Fame. That being true doesn't mean Josh Allen sucks. It's just like, it's crazy the way they do that. It always goes that route. All right, we're not going to go that route, though. We're going to do the right thing, and we're going to move from the NFL for a moment. And when we come back, Tom Quitz is going to join us. You heard me say at the top of the show that he's a commercial litigator, trial lawyer, and shareholder of Gray Robinson. And you'll remember the face. I remember the face. I wonder if he remembers the last time we saw each other. It was very brief. It was in passing. It was over a beer, a celebratory beer, a great moment. Chef Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
The weather is unpredictable and can cause issues around your home. Weston Trawick provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick, professional electrical service. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
Excellence defines us, so we'll never let orthopedic pain and injury define you. TOC is a physician-led team of fellowship-trained specialists providing the highest level of orthopedic care in the region. With 12 centers of excellence and TOC Now urgent care clinics, our patients access affordable, expert care fast. TOC, only experts. Schedule an appointment at teamtoc.com.
If you've been waiting for the perfect time to buy your new house, you'll be waiting forever. This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I have been a mortgage lender for over 20 years. And I can tell you that there is no such thing as perfect timing. So take the first step towards your new home and let me show you what that really looks like. Chances are very high that you'll be very surprised at what I can help you do. When rates go low, prices go high, and that home that you've been eyeballing could be gone. If you're wondering how the drop in interest rates is going to affect your payment, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to show you all of the options available to get you into your new home. And for every single loan that we close for a fellow Knoll, I will personally donate $250 per closing to the Battle's End. Let's do this together, and let's keep climbing. Call me today at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. Or you can find me online at loansforknowles.com. That's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 373031.
Zaxby's Sensation Salad is so much more than a plain old salad. It's a salad, which begs the question, at what point does a salad stop being a salad and become a salad? Is it when you add Zaxby's fried chicken to it? Crunchy wontons? Asian slaw? Citrus vinaigrette? Teriyaki glaze? Sweet and spicy sauce? Or is it when you top it all with a handmade perfectly fried egg roll? Without a doubt, the egg roll. The Sensation Salad, only at Zaxby's.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant now.
To bring him on and talk a little bit about what's going on with Florida State. Obviously, we would like this to speed up. We would love all of this to get done sooner rather than later. I think everybody comes at it from the standpoint that, oh man, how soon is this going to be over and we're going to be out of the ACC? But of course, the law doesn't work that way. Mike Tomkowitz joining us now on the Jeff Cameron Show, commercial litigator, trial lawyer, shareholder, Gray Robinson. Mike, let's welcome him in and say hello there. Look at him dressed up so nice like a lawyer is. How are you, buddy?
Pretty good. Going on camera, and you got to throw the tie on, you know.
Did the right thing. Hey, by the way, so you recall you had just become famous after asking Jimbo, where's the loyalty? And I ran into you where?
At Momo's.
That's right. That's right. There it is. Momo's. And we were all in a good mood and smiling. And I was getting pizza to go. We had a celebratory beer of the moment. And now fast forward all these years later. And hopefully we're having a beer to celebrate Florida State leaving the ACC in timely fashion. But something tells me, given that it's a lawsuit, that won't happen anytime soon, right? It'll take a long time for this to get worked out.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, originally everybody hoped that there would be some kind of negotiation right off the bat and that we would come to some quick agreement. But the more that you get into it and you watch how the litigation is unfolding, it looks like the parties are really entrenched in their positions and that there isn't going to be a quick solution here.
All right, so it's interesting. There was an amended complaint and it added offensive claims against FSU. They were seeking monetary damages. Tell me what that means.
I like the football terminology added in there. So, yeah. Now, let me remind you, I'm with a big firm, so they've asked that I indicate that everything I say here is my own personal opinion. It does not represent Gray Robinson. It's basically me, Mike Tomkowitz, as an FSU fan and a lawyer in the community. So to get into that, there's some speculation as to how we even got to this point and why there isn't an amended complaint right off the bat. So what you saw originally was the ACC tried to beat FSU to the courthouse, and it filed a 2-count complaint basically the night before we were authorizing the filing of our own complaint. So that was asking for declaratory judgment that the grant of rights and the amended grant of rights were valid and enforceable. Then what happens is FSU files its complaint, and we're throwing the entire kitchen sink at them. The boys over at Greenberg filed a 7-count complaint asking for all kinds of things and basically accusing the ACC of mismanaging itself and thus hurting FSU's prospects to compete long-term in college football. The ACC gets that, they look at it, and either they weren't quite prepared to originally file, and so they had to rush themselves, and they put out this 2-count complaint, and now they're getting back to the real meat of some other things, or they're saying, you know what, we can double down too, and we can go after damages and injunctive relief and make this very painful for everybody involved. And when you look at their amended complaint, that's exactly what they've done. They've added these injunctive counts saying, not only do we want you to say that the grant of rights is enforceable, but we want you to give us the power to stop Florida State from basically torching us and saying that these grant of rights don't work anymore. More importantly, I think they really amped up the volume by adding in these additional counts for damages, basically seeking to claim that we breached certain agreements or fiduciary obligations or implied duties under contracts, and therefore they're entitled to money damages, which they haven't yet determined, but they say in their opinion is substantial. So that's kind of where they're amping up the volume. When you look at the sum and substance of what they've alleged back at Florida State, you start to question whether or not there's any real way you could unwind this without us leaving the ACC.
That's awesome. Okay, so with the ACC's motion to seal being renewed, notes that FSU intends to oppose the motion. So is the first big showdown, is what I'm going to ask you, over whether the ACC gets to keep the agreements confidential with their filings?
So basically, the ACC is alleging that FSU already let the cat out of the bag. That's part of their counts are a failure to maintain the confidentiality of these documents, and they're seeking money damages connected with that. There probably will be a round of discussing what's actually confidential. Should these things be confidential? That's going to all happen in the future. And right now, you've got an amended ACC pleading. You've got the original FSU count. From my understanding, Peter Thamel originally put this on Twitter that they were going to respond, the parties were going to respond to their respective complaints on the 16th of February. I confirmed that with folks that are handling the litigation for FSU. So it looks like the next round of this, where they'll be talking about all those types of issues, will be on February 16th. And frankly, I think what you're going to see is a motion to dismiss. There'll probably be arguments about venue and where this should be litigated and where this should be fought. And that's going to be the next step of this. Whether or not the ESPN and the ACC network agreements are confidential, should be confidential, are still confidential, that's probably going to be down the road from that. But that's now front and center in this litigation. It's very interesting when you read through the ACC's amended complaint. They say, hey, look, not only are these documents confidential, we did everything to try to help you keep them confidential. We basically put them under lock and seal in our ACC offices. So, Florida State is really the bad actor here.
All right, so let's go big picture here. Rather than get into the weeds, first time I've had you on, I want to ask you, you've read the documents. What do you think of what you've read up to this point from both sides? What is your thought on this case?
I don't know. I feel like a sports journalist at this point. So when I first saw Florida State's pleading, I thought, wow, this has some meat on it. This is very good. When you look at the ACC amended complaint, it definitely has some punch, and the way that they address the allegations. That was the other thing that you notice in the ACC's amended pleading, is that a lot of their allegations, not just the added counts, but the factual underlying allegations, appear to be addressing some of the stuff that was alleged by Florida State in its complaint. So it's kind of like they're answering us without actually answering us. It's a nice move on their part. So it's close. There's a lot going on. You're going to have a lot of fighting about what the 2016 amended grant of rights was intended to do. ESPN says that the amended grant of rights was there to facilitate the ACC network. FSU seems to be alleging that the 2016 grant of rights was intended to effectuate the ESPN media deal. So what's really the facts and what was happening there, that's probably going to be parsed out with the documents and emails and deposition testimony between people that were either involved in it or currently holding leadership positions. So there's a lot going on. I think that probably the biggest takeaway is that the ACC is not just content with saying we want our grant of rights to be found enforceable. They're saying, look, Florida State's on the hook for money damages for taking it this far. So, I don't know where this ends up going. I think that the only way it can end is with Florida State leaving, paying somewhere between 0 and $572 million, maybe even more, if the damage counts are substantiated and there's some real damages that are created by what ACC has alleged that Florida State has done.
So it probably gets very uncomfortable for you if I say what fans are thinking, which is, in your mind, will they come to a negotiating table at some point and never see this play all the way out? In your opinion, do you think that's where this ends? Like that number, let's say that number, we don't know what Florida State's hoping that number is. I'm sure they want it to be 0. We know it's not going to be that in all likelihood. But does it seem likely to you that this will end up being something where we one day wake up and go, hey, how about that? They're out of the ACC for $300 million.
Yeah, well, I'm not inside the negotiating rooms here, and I believe that the parties are talking about these things, or they will be talking. That you have to get everything set up in the litigation, and when it starts getting into discovery, that's probably when there'll be more talking. Once we kind of have an idea of what claims are real, where is this going to be fought? Right now, you don't have any idea about the risk that the parties are facing, because the ACC feels pretty confident we're going to argue this thing up in North Carolina. FSU feels pretty confident we're going to argue this thing down here in Leon County. That's a big difference. Who is hearing it and where could have a great impact on whether or not some of these claims are dismissed, or whether or not there is a quicker end to this matter or a longer end to this matter. So really, if you're a savvy, shrewd business person on either side of this, you probably want to play this litigation out a little farther to find out where you are in the risk assessment analysis. So as a litigator, we'll usually plead our case, and then they'll answer, and you don't really know what's going to stick or how they're going to come at it or how strong the arguments are until you get a little deeper into it. And that's kind of where we find ourselves here. So if you had asked me at the outset, I thought this could have been done rather quickly, but the more that I look at it and I see the allegations and the claims on either side, I mean, it could be an entire year more before we get this thing to a point where it could be resolved.
Yeah, more than that seems kind of where I thought you would say this is going. It's frustrating for everybody, but at the same time, that makes sense. I'm just curious.
Fan too, Jeff. Like, if I could come in here and tell you it'd be done next week, I really wish I could do that. But
Well, okay, so you're a fan and lawyer, and it's important because I'm curious, when you first heard about the lawsuit, I'm taking a few steps back now. Were you surprised? It doesn't seem to me that the university would levy this lawsuit without a serious thought to the fact that they could end up having to pay out more than $500, $600, $700 million. So you wouldn't enter into this unless you thought you had a very, very good chance to either see this go to the negotiating table or outright win.
Yeah, and I believe that they completely thought that. And I've spoken with people that are involved in the litigation, and they feel very strongly about what they've pled. And so I think that we feel we can win it. And I think FSU has a good shot. All I know is I think that Florida State will be out of the ACC. And I mean, if you want me to guess and throw out a number, I mean, I think it's somewhere around what the withdrawal fee by itself would be, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. It depends on how all this shakes loose. The ACC has done a good job trying to up the volume and make this a bigger matter with more money at play and more damages in an effort to try to strengthen their negotiating position. I think it also was important to see how the other schools react to the litigation, whether or not they get involved. That could tip the scales one way or the other too. If there's 4 ACC schools that want out and somehow either join our litigation or institute their own actions within their home states, that could change the dynamic and whether or not the ACC wants to fight a forefront war and what they think that looks like as far as risk assessment is concerned. Because if anybody gets the grant of rights invalidated, that basically lets everybody out of jail. So
yeah, it dissolves the conference, basically. They're screwed.
Well, and that's an interesting point, because when you look at the amended complaint, you start thinking to yourself, wow, it's like they're fighting for their jobs here. And that's really what they're doing. So I feel like the ACC has gone pretty ballistic and nuclear as far as how they've alleged this aggressively and tried to put everything that they can out there on paper.
Yeah, okay. This makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad to hear that affirmed, because it seemed to me that it was awfully punitive to file ahead of Florida State. Like they were ready to go to war And they beat Florida State to the punch to some extent because of where they want this heard, right? That's why they did that, I would assume. They want that in North Carolina by beating Florida State to filing. Is that the hope?
Yeah. So again, I'm speculating, so I don't have any real knowledge one way or the other. But me as a lawyer and a strategist and doing litigation, yeah, they wanted to get ahead of Florida State. I feel like they kind of rushed to file, knowing that we had the Board of Trustees meeting coming up and them guessing correctly what that was going to be about. And so they tried to get the first filed rule in play where they filed a lawsuit up in North Carolina. That's where this thing should be litigated. Of course, there's an exception to the first file rule that if you're doing it just to get in front of someone and gain a tactical advantage, then perhaps the first filed rule doesn't get followed. So, yeah, there's a bunch of jockeying. They filed it quickly. They tried to get venue where they wanted it. Now they're coming back and they're saying, well, Florida State's got these damages claims. We can do all that too. And by the way, we want them to not participate in operation and management of the conference while this is ongoing because they're not being good partners and fiduciary members of our organization while they're instituting this lawsuit to try to undermine the grant of rights.
All right. February 16th. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So February 16th, go out, have a great Valentine's dinner with your spouse or whoever, and then buckle up because that's going to be the next part of this. The only other thing that's really occurred beyond the amended complaint is it looks like the parties have obtained what we call local counsel, which is important for litigating these things. So I was just reading the back end of that amended ACC complaint, and it's important to note that they have listed as on the service list some North Carolina lawyers from Bradley, Arendt, Bolt, Cummings, LLP, as counsel for defendant. And I believe that we're the only defendant in there. So I assume that these folks are now serving as local counsel for Florida State up in North Carolina, but I'm not sure. Here in Tallahassee, the ACC has engaged a local firm, Lawson, Huck, Gonzalez, who appears to be a bunch of Gator fans, to help them with the ACC litigation in Leon County. So all those lawyers, they're talking about what they're going to do and what they're going to file, and we'll get to find out on February 16th.
Nice shot. Nice shot taken there. Well done, sir. Hey, Mike, it's fun catching up again. We'll do it again here real soon. I'll have you back on the show, the next big thing that comes up, and then I'd love to see you off the air as well and catch up. Be good, sir. Thanks for the insight.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff.
All right. Take care. Mike Tomkowitz, commercial litigator, trial lawyer, shareholder, if I could speak, Gray Robinson. That was good. A lot to digest there, think about. And so February 16th, he said, go out, enjoy Valentine's Day with your significant other, and buckle up. Most people go out on Valentine's Day with the hope of unbuckling. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Local news now.
As Friday, January 19th, marked 2 months until the Florida presidential preference primary election, Leon County Supervisor elections mark early wants residents to know the deadline to vote is nearby. February 20th marks the deadline for residents to register to vote in March. It is also the last day for voters to change their party affiliation. Officials also emphasize that this election is different, as only Republican voters are able to cast a vote on March 19th. This is because the Florida Democratic Party has already chosen President Joe Biden as their preferred candidate for the general election ballot. Early encourages all voters to be election ready by checking their voter registration to make sure all of their information is up to date. Voters can go to leonvotes.gov to check on their polling location or visit registertovoteflorida.gov to register and update voter information. This is Rachel Lene with the Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at macklemoresystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Daytime highs approaching 65 this afternoon under mainly cloudy skies, easterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Slight chance of rain showers tonight. Lows dip down to about 54, overcast skies. Slight chance of rain showers tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 69, overcast skies. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 61.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu. Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The panko lechon, Jeff.
Is that what is the pork?
The panko lechon, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.
On the offensive there, claims seeking monetary damages for breach of contract, injunction claims, all that good stuff. Want to make sure they keep the all the documents sealed and confidential and like, hey, we don't want our stuff on Front Street. Put it all out there, guys. Put it all out there. We'll see, man. Maybe the rumor of other teams getting involved, huh? Wouldn't that be something? Other programs getting involved? That wouldn't suck. I do like the forthright nature in which he says this law firm locally must be a bunch of Gators representing the ACC. I don't know that to be true. Certainly would seem like it. That was nicely done. I didn't get to ask the cloak and dagger question regarding the grant of rights, but I think we know the reason. And the crux of all of this is this whole idea that if it happens and there's a number attached to it, then peace. The ACC is no longer a conference. That's why they're fighting for their lives. Absolutely.
Yeah, I believe I caught that right. That his opinion, his personal opinion on the way this is going, is that he thinks it's not going to be much more than the exit fee.
He did say that, and that raised an eyebrow, Tom, because right off the bat, I thought if it's just the exit fee, pay it and let's ride.
Yeah, so what they're trying to do is run up damage counts so that they're what they're alleging is that Florida State owes $800 million, whatever. Just I'm throwing a random number out there, right. But that way, when we meet in the middle, the number is a little bit more palatable. Like, if you're trying to get hired and you have somebody say, "I'll pay you $25,000," you say, "Well, I want $100,000. How about we meet in the middle?" That's what it sounds like what the ACC is doing, is they're afraid that on its face, without other damages, other sources of leverage, they believe it's going to be the exit fee plus $50. There.
I'm going to give you $50. Here you go. Cash money, homie. Oh, my goodness gracious. Basketball team lost over the weekend, Tom. I didn't get to ring the bell. I mentioned it, but let me just get into this very quickly. One problem for this team, and a lot of you asked me, why won't I yell choo-choo? Well, I won't yell choo-choo anytime soon. They're in real trouble as it pertains to that. This loss was a tough one to take for Florida State because the Noles are sitting at 11-7. In spite of that great run that they just went on, they are, tied for second place in the ACC with NC State and Wake Forest. But they're 2 games behind North Carolina to try to, take first place in the conference, 7-0. Carolina, by the way, will be paying a visit to the TLC Double C on Saturday, 2 o'clock. That game, if you can't make it, is on ESPN. We'll travel to Syracuse for a Tuesday night game this week against the Orange. They're 4-3. 7 o'clock ESPN2. You saw they hit a 3 at the buzzer to knock off Miami, who Florida State had just vanquished. Game started off well enough at the TLC Double C. Florida State with that 21-13 lead early. Clemson goes on a run. Eventually, this game ends up even at halftime. Once Clemson, when it was 41-40, with about 14 minutes left, I thought, okay, well, at some point you're going to have to get a stop and you're going to have to make a shot because we can't shoot. That is the one problem with this team is they are not good at, shooting the basketball. Darren Green's got to hit a bunch of threes for them to shoot well typically. They just don't. And although credit to Watkins, who played very well in this game, and I love watching him. Baba got into some foul trouble. That hurt this team. And the three-headed monster at center really didn't produce much at all. I think a grand total between the 3 of those guys, I'm talking about Korn and Gainey and Green, I think it was 5 points or something like that. So Clemson hit everything in the second half. But for Florida State, if you look at this again, 10 of 25, 3 of 11 from 3, 14 of 19 from the free throw line. Meanwhile, Clemson, 14 of 23. That's almost 61%. 17 of 20 from the free throw line. They had a huge advantage on the glass, 21-8. Points in the paint, 20-12. It really was all Clemson in the second half of this basketball game. So the best you're going to hope for is barring a crazy, crazy run.
Now, if we do take care of business tomorrow night on the road at Syracuse, you're going to get the juices flowing a little bit. You're going to be a huge dog at home against North Carolina. But if you could score that victory, you're back where a little bit ahead of where we were talking on Friday, I think. It's a big if that they can win both of those games. It's a big if that they can handle business even tomorrow. It's a quick turnaround. It's an awkward team that they're going to be playing. But you're right. It's funny. I looked at that same sequence. So to start the second half, I had Clemson on 5 trips down the court, scoring 4 out of 5 times. There was a bit of a lull. And then at 41-40, 10 out of 12 trips down. That includes missing the front end of a 1-and-1 for one of your 2 empty possessions. 10 out of 12 trips down the court, Clemson comes away with points. A lot of that was at the free throw line, but they made some shots as well. You couldn't get a stop. You could not get an empty possession, and that's what killed you.
Clemson's offense in the ACC hasn't been good this year. It was on Saturday. It was very good. They deserved to win the game. They were the better basketball team. It's unfortunate for Florida State that happens at home because you would have put yourself in a really nice position. It's a winnable game Tuesday. And then, of course, as we said, you get North Carolina at home. That could have been nutso, right? Had you won this game over the weekend, all of a sudden you'd be talking about, again, 6-game, 7-game win streak. Places going nuts. There's real momentum. You begin to believe. You're knocking down these net ratings, getting closer and closer to a place where you're starting to talk about the tournament for real. Now it's kind of like, oh man, crash landing. But they don't shoot well. They just don't shoot well. They have a lot of length and they have a lot of players they can throw at you. They've got fouls to give for days. They don't shoot well from the free throw line. They don't shoot well from 3. So they have to really kind of dominate the boards and alter a bunch of shots with that length. And if teams are going to make shots against you and you're going to get out-rebounded in the way that Florida State did and outscored in the paint, well, that's no recipe for Florida State because that length shouldn't allow for that, and it happened. And Baba got in foul trouble, and that didn't help either because, as I said before, even when he's not scoring, I know he had 8, but even when he's not scoring, he's affecting shots when he's on the floor. And for Florida State, that hurt a lot. So that's where they sit now. We shall see. At least they put themselves in a position to matter a little bit for a week and a half in basketball where it hadn't been that way. I watched a lot of college basketball over the weekend in addition to the football. You're trying to make the pivot now. That's where you're at. You're at the very, very end here of football season. Granted, you have the good news, which is something new every day happening in college football, whether it's Alabama losing somebody else, Florida State raiding somebody else's roster, kids decommitting from Bama. That's a story in and of itself on a daily basis. It's fun to watch. I'm going to continue to follow that and see. By the way, one thing we didn't get a chance to talk about when we were talking about Farmer and the Battle's End reaching an agreement again, that was posted. Kudos to roster retention and what the Battle's End has done in this portal. Florida State is in the top 5 rankings of all the portal teams so far this offseason. I didn't think they were going to have to go that hard into the portal. They've had to go that hard into the portal, and they've answered. They've also retained the key components to that defensive line right now, so that's all something to be excited about. I still think they'll add another piece before this is all said and done. I don't mean right now, obviously, but I mean before we start the season in the fall. Florida State will have a couple of additions, in my opinion, that I think they'll target, and we'll see. No inside information on that. It just would make sense. There's a couple places that I would probably target.
Well, and there's a chance that they're not done adding in the immediate, because if Jim Harbaugh takes a job at the NFL level, then more dominoes are going to fall. Michigan's roster is now open for business. I don't know that there are any potential fits for Florida State and Michigan, but it opens up the possibility. And then who replaces Jim Harbaugh if it's not an internal hire? If they go somewhere else? I mean, it just never ends. And that's a good thing for Florida State right now because they're in buy mode. But I would think, maybe if they wanted to, if things went sideways with a backup linebacker from Michigan coming off of a national championship and the guy just isn't feeling it, if Coach Harbaugh is not there, well, young man, I think you should enter your name into the portal and let's see what you're all about. Or a defensive interior or a stud, whatever, young wide receiver who doesn't feel like developing for 2 more years. My quarterback's going away. My coach is going away. Like, you never know. This window may open for Michigan and it may open for maybe another school. That's all if Harbaugh goes. If he doesn't, I think they're done until the spring window. But, I mean, if he leaves, I would think that they may look outside of the organization to go make the next hire, which opens more doors.
I would fully highlight anything on the defensive side of the ball for Michigan. My goodness gracious. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with us. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Hello, I'm Dana Brooks.
And I'm Jimmy Basic.
Traffic cameras are everywhere, providing valuable evidence if you've been in an accident.
But if you can't access that evidence, it could just be your word against theirs.
Basic Brooks is partnered with Roadproof to have access to all their traffic camera footage. If you've been hurt in an accident, give us a call and we'll find out if the proof you need is out there.
Let us find your video evidence so you can come back stronger. Call us now at 850-777-7777.
You can make the decision right now to get lasting relief from that awful joint pain for 2024. Don't go around another year compromising because of that pain in your knees or shoulder. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative, non-surgical pain relief. Your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. And QC Kinetics, it can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. The future of pain treatment has arrived, and QC has tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. This isn't a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving along. Get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. Take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. Get a free consultation on the calendar today. Call 850-391-4280. That's 850-391-4280. Once again, 850-391-4280.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're fine.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service, right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mandlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Detroit over Tampa Bay, 31-23 in the NFC Divisional round at Ford Field in Detroit yesterday. The Lions win the game and cover as 6-point home favorites. They're a 7-point dog at San Francisco in the NFC title game, total 51. Chiefs a 3-point dog at Baltimore for the AFC title on Championship Sunday. The Magic a 1-point dog at home against the Cavaliers today. Yesterday as a 1-point underdog at home, they knocked off Miami 105-87. The Cavaliers have won 11 consecutive games against opponents, playing the second game of a back-to-back. Cavs laying 1 at the Kia Center. Football fans, score big without the burn. Play for free for a chance to win your share of $10,000 at TumsPropBites.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. I gotta try that Febreze car. Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your bed. You know my car's my happy place. Keep a smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. And breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Progressive presents 10 things on a plumber's to-do list that are harder than getting a small business insurance quote. Waking up for 5 a.m. plumbing disasters, finding out why water is pouring from the ceiling while telling a customer to leave the room, replacing a pipe in a home from the 1800s, then dealing with invoices or your awkward apprentice or that really weird smell, and then there's breathing and eating and, of course, clogs. But the easiest thing on any small business owner's to-do list, seeing if you could save on the business insurance that's right for you. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers.
Whidden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Whidden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Whidden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whidden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Whidden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Oh my God, what happened to you? You're walking so crooked.
Well, I was walking my alligator and I tripped on a cypress knee and I spilled my margarita.
Oh my gosh, your margarita.
Got blown my back completely out. I had to ride the alligator home. I don't know what to do. My back's killing me.
You're such a Florida man. You should know you should go to Finn Chiropractic.
Really?
You can go to their website and book an appointment and get you in as soon as possible. Go to FinnChiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com.
You mean 24 hours a day I can make my appointment online and pay for it?
Yep, right on their website.
Wow, and it's discounted?
Yeah.
All right, that's what Florida man needs to do.
No lines, no waiting. Visit FenChiro.com to book your next appointment with a discount. FENNCHIRO.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com. It's Fen Chiropractic, where the chiropractors love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Hold my beer. I'm going to Finn Chiropractic.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5,
4, 3,
How cold it was, just kind of walking outside like an old man. Like, look at this. It's nice and cold, bitterly cold. Loved it. Loved it. Just wandering about. My wife, what are you doing? Nothing. Wandering around the yard. It's in the 20s. I'm going to continue to enjoy this while I can. And I relish how much others hate it. Like lifelong Floridians get so mad. They're like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I'm like, no, what's ridiculous is 98 and humid, which it'll be here for 9 months. Embrace the hell out of this cold. Damn it. What's wrong with you? On Twitter, it's at Jay Cameron Show. Hey, you know what's ridiculous? I don't know if you saw this. This has nothing to do with anything of any importance, but it made me laugh. And so I thought I'd bring it up here because I went and watched the replay of this, Tom, after I saw, I think, a headline about it. And I thought, well, let me investigate. Remember back in the day, Coach K used to get upset and say it was a danger to everybody when fans charged the court. And didn't you were one of those hooligans who charged the court one time when he was here, right?
That's correct. I saw him a mile away. He was a threat. He was a distinct threat to our basketball players.
So
specifically our scholarship basketball players.
No, they left all the non-scholarship players. Anyhow, I don't know if you saw this, and I could certainly understand if you didn't. It is women's basketball. So Iowa's Caitlin Clark got bumped into by an Ohio State fan when they charged the court after the Buckeyes won that game over number 2 Iowa 100-92, and the fans were over the moon about that regular season win against Iowa and charged out onto the floor there, and she got bumped. And so I saw where the coach for Iowa was saying it's ridiculous and all that. So I thought, well, there's got to be some footage of this, right? So I went and looked at it. You know, I've come to the conclusion that I think Caitlin Clark kind of sucks as a person. I think I don't like her. Pretty much, I know I don't. She barely got touched. It's the most ridiculous over the top. It's like LeBron flopping. It's all time good. She buckled over as if she had been assaulted. Man, it is the fakest, sorriest, ridiculous, most desperate attempt to get sympathy or attention or both. And I don't know why she needs it because she's awesome. She's an incredible basketball player. She can shoot from the damn logo, but it's just the dumbest thing in the world. Quote, I could see they were storming the court, which was totally fine. Actually, I like this quote. This is the kind of, you know, backhanded compliment I can get down with. She did go on to say, good for their students. That's a great win for them. that one I'll give you. That one I'll give you, Caitlin. That's good. Adding that she was, though, quote, hammered and blindsided. No, you weren't. You weren't hammered nor blindsided. Actually, when you watch the replay, you can see it coming, and you were barely touched, and you raised your hands, went flying as if you were actually injured. It was ridiculous.
So you know what it looked like is in all of those 80s and 90s movies where they have an extra that gets trucked by somebody. You know, it's like there's a chase scene.
Yeah.
It's The Firm. Tom Cruise is running. He's got the briefcase. Right. And then the movies that make fun of it, they just literally truck somebody for no reason. That's what it looks more like than somebody getting crackback blocked.
No, it wasn't violent at all. She was fine.
Yeah.
Stop bending over, holding your cut. You didn't get hurt. Nobody hurt you. That was stupid. But it was so very modern. The chick that hit her is running out there holding her phone out in front of her. I gotta capture it. Wait till I post this.
Yeah, you could just live it instead
you
of
could actually see it, be part of it, celebrate it, but you got to capture it.
I watch more of the concert from my phone so I could
Yeah.
see the stage more than with my own eyes. Yeah.
I didn't see my son's game, not the way that I would have liked to. I was behind an iPad filming it so that many moons from now we can all go back and watch that pick. Yeah, it was something to behold. But I will brag on my son for a second. He had a hell of a game against Charles, and Leon beat Charles in basketball, and Bryce was the player of the game, Tom.
There you go. There's that Leon bias. This guy is completely compromised now. If you want a fair and balanced report on high school,
you won't get it from me. Yeah,
you will not get fair and balanced high school sports reporting on the Jeff Cameron Show.
No, you won't. You won't get any, really. I'm just congratulating Bryce. I think he had 12, 8, and 4 or something like that. 12, 8, and 6. So he had a hell of a game. Good for him. And I told him I was proud of him. And it was fun. It was good. Hey, the other side story, and I'll get back into the football here in a second. This one hit me hard, though, and this should hit all sports fans and obviously anybody over the age of like 30, 35, probably a little bit more than most. You see where Sports Illustrated, I mean, everything else is dissolved these days. Everything that you held sacred to is gone already. So I guess you just add this to the ledger. But Sports Illustrated was considered, in my mind, for a long, long time. Not that they didn't make mistakes. Tainted Title was a huge mistake. But Sports Illustrated had a lot of great writing for years and years and years, and was kind of the gold standard. And more importantly, I thought about, like, when I saw that they had laid off most of their staff. They'd laid off over 100 people. And we'll see if they carry on in some capacity or not. It looks like they're dead. And, we've had to go through basically newspapers dying, magazines dying, all that stuff. I don't know what the future is going to be there. Something will always rise up, and we'll see. Some of it will be better. Some of it will be worse. We know that. But, man, were you of the age, Tom, do you just make it in under the deadline there for going to the mailbox and grabbing your Sports Illustrated out there at the mailbox? Did you do that?
100%. Sports Illustrated. ESPN, the magazine, tried to make a run there in the 90s because they gave you the fleece. Remember that? They gave you the fleece with it. Mm-hmm. And then in my school, we had a subscription to SI for Kids, which used to come in, and Time for Kids. And, buddy, those weren't as high quality of I'm talking about the paper quality, but they all had that beautiful smell to them. Like, that's one of the old school smells that, like, walking into Sports Authority, that had a distinct, amazing smell that kids will just not understand because they're going to go to Amazon, or they're going to go directly like Nike.com to go get their new Jordans. But walking into the store, or the smell of a brand new magazine when it was mailed to you, man. And then, it was awesome. There were different parts of the year where if Warwick Dunn was on the cover, which he was twice, I think, at minimum, I remember the social media did share a cover that means something to you. It was Break Up the Bucks when we were 5-0.
Right.
And Warwick Dunn was on the cover. We couldn't wait for it to get in the mail. My dad and I went to Barnes & Noble, and there's another thing, but go to Barnes & Noble, bought it so I could have it, and it was displayed on my desk. Sports Illustrated was a humongous deal.
Well, the writing in Sports Illustrated, though, for years and years and years was simply phenomenal. And I can still remember as a little kid in 1980 getting the Sports Illustrated with the hockey team after the victory at Lake Placid, the whole thing. And I remember that cover. And the writers were Gary Smith and Frank DeFord are two of my favorite writers ever. And not sports writers. And I can still remember reading Sports Illustrated in my room cover to cover each week that it came in. It would come in on Thursdays for us, and I would get it, and I couldn't wait to look at the cover and then look at the articles. And then that's how you consumed your sports news. You read all of it throughout the course of the week, and then compared and contrast when you met your friends in middle school or high school to say, did you read this? Did you read that? And DeFord once wrote a piece that, good Lord, he wrote several, but there was one that had me weeping about his daughter dying at the age of, I think, 9 years old of cystic fibrosis. Holy moly. But these pieces were powerful and really well written. And anyhow, I'm gonna miss that. I hope Sports Illustrated is still online, still digital, something. I don't know. It's not the same. Just go into your mailbox, though. Even today, go into your mailbox is a big deal. Like, I get more excited if I get something from Amazon, let's say, like just a shirt or a hat, or I got something coming, whatever it is. I don't know. And I open it up and I see that package. I'm like, oh, all right. It just beats the hell out of going to a store. I don't know why. It just does. I get excited if it's in the mailbox. You leave it up by the door, it's not the same thing. The mailbox is opening the mail. Oh, what's in there? Is there something in there? It's very exciting to me. I'm like a little kid.
When's the last time you bought a Sports Illustrated?
It's been a minute. Yeah, they've been waiting for some time now. No, I get it. They're going out of business like everybody else, every other publication. I used to get the papers sent to my doorstep every morning. I used to get several papers. I would get, back in the day, the St. Pete Times, which is now the Tampa Times, but the St. Pete Times, when I first started in sports talk radio, in order to put together a show, a lot of times I'd get the St. Pete Times, the Detroit Free Press. I would get the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Miami Herald sometimes. I would get all that stuff, man. It was the best. And go back through all those, and I remember there would be days where I wonder what the Seattle Post-Intelligencer has to say about this, or the Cleveland Plain Dealer, and of course the New York Times. All that. I would gather all those things. You ended up with a lot of paper. You killed a lot of trees, but there was something about holding the paper tangibly and going through all of that. I loved it. But I haven't bought a Sports Illustrated in years and years and years.
Maybe Winston to Benjamin? Was that the last one? Winston to Benjamin? That was a great cover. I mean, we all had that photo anyway. Garnet and Gold had it. Everybody had it. But that was one to keep. I think that might be the last time I bought one.
But yeah, because they created the commemorative issue, right? That was the whole thing. Was then all of a sudden you had to have the thing when your team won it. Then you had to have the commemorative issue. That was brilliant of them. And I think that was born out of anger, because there had been a long form piece by I think it was Gary Smith, and if I remember correctly, it ran simultaneous to some program having won a national championship, and instead of them being on the cover, it was this side story on Valvano, and they were like, "Hey man, I'm sorry he's dying of cancer, but my team won. I'm sure that's a great piece, but we won." And so then Sports Illustrated's like, well, yeah, fair enough. So why don't we just do this from here on out? If your team wins, we've got something over here. We can make more money that way. There you go. There you got that one. And here, the people who like to actually read the stuff, there you got this. That's how that went. So anyhow, rest in peace to Sports Illustrated if that's the case. Even though they angered me with Tainted Tata, which was nonsense, and later on was shown to be nonsense. The work was good, and it was over 70 years long. You can do the archive thing when you go online now. You can go through and read those articles. I would invite a lot of people to do as much. There's incredible pieces on there that, I don't know, they don't just engage your sports journalistic mind. It's just good writing, really, really good writing. And I saw the prompt over the weekend where David Hale posted that most of us grew up reading Sports Illustrated. It's how we got into sports, and that was the first time that he realized that you could write something great and it could be about sports. It didn't have to, and that you could really flex like your writing skills, and it could be about sports.
I see something in the chat that has more to do with the capitalist in all of us more than the artist or the consumer. But Matthew asked, are Beckett prices still a thing? Do you remember Beckett magazines with the valuations of sports cards? Dude, I don't know why. I was so fired up to get that as a kid. I have forgotten completely until I saw that. It's on a different level. Granted, I understand Sports Illustrated, art, Beckett
sports card memorabilia. Yeah.
$6 for a Fleer Ultra set, a complete set from 95, 96. I get it. But I was always enamored with that stuff because of the rarity of some of the cards and how much they were worth. It was a catalog that I liked.
I was so addicted to collecting baseball cards in my childhood that my older brothers used my addiction against me to make me do or to put me up to crazy hijinks. I remember well, they call it shooting a moon, or I mooned my neighbor when he and his daughter were doing something in the pool in the yard next door, and Aaron said to me, "Hey, I'll buy you a pack of baseball cards from 7-Eleven if you stand on the deck and moon them." And I said, "Okay," because I was little and didn't care. So I mooned him, and then he was very mad. He was like, "My daughter's right here. What are you doing?" And it was my ass cheeks hanging out. But anyhow, Aaron owed me a pack of baseball cards.
How old were you?
10.
Okay.
11. Yeah, it wasn't like
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. You have to go knocking on doors and after a spell in Chino.
No, nothing like that. And then another time, I drank hot sauce at Taco Bell for 2 packs of baseball cards. Just straight drank it. Hot sauce. My brother Bobby said, "I bet you won't drink like 5 seconds worth of hot sauce." And I would pour hot sauce down my throat. And he was like, "Yeah, but that's what I would do for baseball cards. I love them."
Yeah, in 5th grade, I made $10, which really $10 for putting 5 atomic fireballs in my mouth, staggered at 60 seconds, so that it always stayed hot during class. And my teacher, thankfully, she didn't look at me. I was in her blind spot.
Bright red.
Everybody in the class is cracking up, and she's like, you need to stop it. Everybody stop laughing, because there are tears streaming down my face, and I've got like cheeks because of 5 atomic fireballs in a 5-minute span. Yeah, it was so worth it. I couldn't taste for 3 days.
I compare opening the mailbox and getting that Sports Illustrated and sitting down to read on the couch while watching a Cubs Pirates game on WGN and reading my Sports Illustrated. I compare that to the excitement I felt when I'd get on my black and yellow Mongoose BMX bike, racing up the up 9th to go over to 7-Eleven and buy packs of baseball cards. And I would not even wait till I got home. I'd get outside the store and immediately open them and go through all of those and be like, "Oh my God, I got a George Brett rookie," or whatever it would be, and then that cardboard piece of gum that you thought was good, which wasn't. And you'd get so excited. And yeah, I would do that, and I'd have those cards, and I couldn't wait to go back and trade them, the whole deal. So anyhow, long-winded way of saying rest in peace, Sports Illustrated. I suppose the longer I do this, I'll be saying goodbye to lots of things, including friends, people. Just it'll be happening left and right. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Orthopedic pain and injury deserves effective treatment options now, so you feel better fast. Whether you have joint pain that won't subside or an urgent orthopedic injury, we are the specialists to get you back on your feet. And there's only one thing better than fast care: expert care. We believe you deserve both. TOC, only experts. Learn more at teamtoc.com.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
At Paul's Termite and Pest Control, we know if you have something in your home that's not supposed to be there, you want it gone now.
Not in a couple of days, not tomorrow, but today. That's why we offer a same-day guarantee.
If you call Paul's before 12, one of our technicians will be out before 5. We guarantee it.
The health of you, your family, and your pets is why we promise to do everything possible to quickly resolve your problem.
And we do so using the safest chemicals. Notice a pest problem?
Call Paul's Termite and Pest Control before 12, and we're there before 5.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control has been treating termites from the exterior of your home for about 25 years.
Paul's was the first to introduce the Centricon termite colony elimination system to North Florida and is the leader of this non-invasive treatment.
Instead of dumping gallons and gallons of harsh chemicals into our soil, Centricon uses environmentally sensitive treatments loaded in bait stations.
These stations are strategically placed around the home. If termites are present, they feed, take it back to the colony, which is shortly destroyed.
To learn more about Centricon
and a free consultation too,
call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Marcus, what happened?
I was changing my oil and I spilled some on the floor.
Oh, well, use these $50 bills to wipe it up.
Perfect. Got any more?
Yeah, take a couple hundred.
Stop. Instead of using money, use an old rag. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Anjali.
Hi, it's Jennifer Coolidge. I just got an alert for a strange charge on my card.
No problem. We make sure you're never held responsible for unauthorized purchases on your Discover card. Let's see. Did you purchase something from a t-shirt cannon store yesterday?
Absolutely not. No, I already have like 3.
$0 fraud liability guarantee. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Limitations apply.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
And it's so we're back. There's no music whatsoever. We're just live. It's frozen. Okay, good. That's fine. Jeff Cameron Show still rolls on. And we didn't need the bumper. I will say, are you rooting for Detroit? Is that where you're at right now? Are we rooting for Detroit? Is the Jeff Cameron Show rooting for Detroit? I think Matthew is saying yes.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to speak for you. You're an opinionated guy. That's why you have a show with your name on it. But I am, 100%.
I think we are. I think we're rooting for Detroit.
Yeah, it's a likable bunch, likable head coach. I didn't want to lose to him yesterday. Wish they didn't get on fire in the late third quarter and the entirety of the fourth quarter. You know, when we tie the ball game, they go 5 plays, 75 yards for that ass. That hurt your feelings a little bit. But
yeah, and then the next drive's 89 yards, so that also hurt your feelings.
It was not ideal. Not a good showing for the. We looked like the Eagles defense for about a quarter there.
No, we weren't that bad, but yes,
they were. They're a tough team, and they got to battle past more injuries than San Francisco does, I think, at this point, even if Deebo Samuel's limited this week. But what else is new for him? That dude's always limited.
Hey, by the way, you're going to like this. I thought about how perfect is it that probably, I mean, I don't know if it is or not, but it seems like it's probably it for Mike Evans in Tampa. I'm not giving him $20 million. I mean, we're not doing that, right? I mean, just it's time to take it on down the road. But here's the thing. I don't want Mike to leave. I wish he would take, a hometown discount or something. That'd be cool. But it's so perfectly Evans because the numbers end up being awesome. But of course, there are one that leads to an interception, and of course, another critical drop. And it's just okay. This is just what we do now. We're just gonna have 2-3 a game where we just drop inexplicably, Pat, and then we also make 2 incredible catches because that's also what we do.
That is who Mike Evans is, to a T. And
my God,
that catch on the sideline was unbelievable.
Great catch.
And that drop in the first drive that leads to the pick was unforgivable. And
just gives away points on the road right off the bat.
It was 3. He got you 7 with the catch. That's a low percentage haul in that situation where you're sliding. So he gets you 7. He gives up 3. But yeah.
You can say he gives up 3. If you catch it and it's a first down, this could be a 10-point swing we're talking about. You go down and score, Tom, and then all of a sudden it's not just 3. You have 7 and they have none.
Okay, then if you're punting before the half when he makes that catch at the 2-yard line with his Zaxby fingers, these outstanding fingers that
well played.
Maybe Detroit scores before the half and you swing it the other way for 10 points.
That drive is actually all Baker Mayfield. He was awesome. The end of the first half was all Baker Mayfield. That was awesome. That is where you love him. You're like, oh, well, that's really good. And there are plays where you don't.
Well, the problem is he's under duress the entirety of the game, and Jared Goff was hardly ever under duress. I think when we got close to him, we brought him down, but then we never got close to him otherwise. Baker was fending off dudes left and right. How many times did he double pump yesterday? I mean, probably 8 times. It was ridiculous. So I think for the Bucs in the offseason, the Lions go get to play. For us, I'm thinking edge rusher, number 1. You got to have a pass rusher. The middle looks good, but you got to have a pass rusher off the edge. And then maybe some more offensive line help because they got abused yesterday.
Kalijah Cansey's a good player, though, man. We've got a guy. We got a dude. I love that. You got a dude there. And you can tell, unfortunately, that'll be that, I would think, for a certain linebacker in Tampa who didn't get the start yesterday and was told to have a seat. When Britt has 12 tackles and is the reason Detroit can't run, you're like, oh, there it is. That's how that's supposed to look.
But that was the whole thing, is they thought they had a good plan for the run, and most of the game they did. Everything got away from them in the end. But nobody could cover the middle of the field. The passing off between the linebackers and the safeties with Laporta or whoever else was in the middle, they had nothing for it. So
they had nothing for Laporta for sure. I'll tell you that. That was a tough thing. It's going to be interesting to watch the offseason, both with the coaches that we talk about. If you're a Falcons fan listening to this, you don't really want Bill Belichick, do you? You want Bill Belichick? 2 interviews? 2 interviews so far? It's weird to me. Nobody else is interviewing that guy. Have you noticed that? Nobody else? I think about what Jacksonville would need, Tampa Bay, Miami. We can go through all these things. It's kind of fascinating. I'm curious to see what everybody does. In the interim, I just hope we get more great games. We haven't concluded our football viewing yet, and this weekend provided those great moments where you're like, okay, there you go. That's what I wanted to hear. Is that Ira right there? We pulling him up right now? I believe it is. I'm stretching. I want to hear his thoughts on, the schedule reveal. I can't wait for all of this. I think, and Tom, I'm going to end up meeting you at several road games, I think, this year, buddy. I think it's going to work out for us.
Well, I'll start in Dublin. It all starts 1 for 1. We're going to have one hell of a. That's not just a road game. That's a vacation, buddy. It's a good several days out there.
Well, you and I will have a chance to do shows out there, and over the course of this off season, while we're on the subject, we'll lay out there what it is we're doing, as we've been talking behind the scenes, folks. So anybody that's planning on going out there, we'll let them know where they are. Okay, there he is. I think he's ready to go. Nope, not ready to go. All right, not happening. All right, no Ira today, guys. It's all right. All I was going to say was, what is our plan on Warchant TV for the schedule reveal?
So I can tell you that tonight on Smash at 7, which will be Ira and I, the last 20 minutes or so are going to be with Michael Langston. He's going to recap Junior Day, but we will react to the week 1. Like, Florida State already has a fairly crystallized picture of the first month of its season, or first 4 games of its season. There's been leaks over the last year about how that's going to lay out. So today shouldn't be too much of a surprise in terms of the knowledge of week 1. Tomorrow, if we play Thursday and Friday games, we'll have a reaction video to that. And then Wednesday, we'll react to the whole schedule live on the channel. So you might get some one-off moments the next 2 days, but you'll get a full show reaction-wise on Wednesday.
Well, to me, I think because we've all had an uptick in enthusiasm for what's possible next year already, then I can't wait for Wednesday. I'm more and more pumped all the time about what's possible, because I think Florida State is going to be a lot better than we maybe assumed, and I can't wait to figure out the order of these games. There's Ira. Ira Shafel joining me right now, warchant.com. Hello, good sir. How are you?
I'm good, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm well, brother. I'm doing well. We were just talking about the scheduling and how Warchant TV and how we're going to roll it out, and all that conversation that's centered around Florida State schedule. And I was saying that it's always exciting, because Tom and I eventually do W's and L's on Thursday, and you and I and Corey get together and talk about it as well. And we have all these moments you get to write about it. But I'm especially pumped up because you got Farmer back, you got Jackson back, you got Peyton back, you got a bunch of pickups in the portal. All of a sudden, we went from thinking 8-4 to all of a sudden believing, man, Florida State could be really, really good again. And the schedule is going to matter how it plays out, where things are, if you think you have a chance to win the conference and go to the playoff.
It definitely does, man. And again, you just think of where things were about 3 weeks ago. Coming off of just the month of December, how brutal that was, going into the Orange Bowl, and then not knowing what they were going to be able to do in the portal, plus not knowing who was going to stay. I mean, you kind of forget that, like, there was a point in December where we started thinking Peyton and Farmer were leaving, and if Farmer leaves, does Jackson leave? And so now, are you completely rebuilding this entire team? And now you got all those guys back, plus what you've done in the portal, I think exceeds probably what most people were expecting. And then, so the schedule is a big deal, because 1 or 2 different things can make a huge difference. To me, the two games I'm most concerned about, we kind of know the early part of the season.
Yeah,
really,
we do.
But, to me, the 2 biggest games that are going to determine a lot, could determine a lot, is when you play Miami and when you play Notre Dame. I think if you get Miami late in the year. Ideally, you'll get Miami late in the year when they've cashed it in, and you'll get Notre Dame early in the year when it's still nice up there in South Bend. What you don't want to have happen is get Miami early in the year when they think they're going to be good, and Notre Dame late in the year when the weather might not be great.
See, it's funny. I can argue the other way, though, because Miami may actually be decent next year because they do have a quarterback. Now, he hopefully turns it over, and certainly he'll be poorly coached because the head coach is not good in game situations. So that'll be interesting. But, like, early when they're trying to figure out who they are, you could get them, knock them off, and that leads to the downfall.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah. I don't think it's the end of the world either way. I don't think I think Florida State should be in good shape to win one or both of those games, and that's going to determine whether or not maybe they're a playoff team or not. I think no matter how the schedule plays out, I really think Florida State's going to be one of the teams, certainly a top contender for the ACC championship, and that should give you a chance to get in the playoff. But if you can win one or two of those games, I think that's probably going to determine whether or not you really get in.
Yeah, I forgot that we have North Carolina next year as well. The game at SMU as well.
That SMU is one that I've kind of wondered a little bit about because I do think I give Rhett Lashley a lot of credit. He's obviously a very good coach, and they had some nice wins last year. But they also had some ugly losses, at least one or two that were kind of head scratchers. So yeah, there are definitely a couple teams that could give you a trouble if you're not playing well. But I don't think anybody that you would think necessarily Florida State's going to be an underdog again.
What's the game you're most looking forward to? Is it at Notre Dame?
I don't know. I think maybe Miami, honestly, just because I do think there's going to be so much hype on that game, especially if it's at a time where Miami still has a lot to play for. And they should. I mean, they've got a good roster. But they did get a good quarterback, prolific quarterback for sure. And I think when you look at, with their what's on the line for Mario Cristobal and the fact that there was so much attention on those two quarterbacks, and there was a perception that Florida State wanted Cam Ward, and they ended up with DJ, and Miami ended up getting Cam Ward. So if you can win that game, I think it would be a really strong statement for Mike Norvell and Florida State. But no, you're right. I mean, that's probably a fair way to look at it. If you get them early in the year, maybe they don't know exactly what they've got there. Whereas Florida State, could be in a similar situation. The Georgia Tech game, I think Georgia Tech will be interesting. BC will be interesting early in the year because, you're still going to be figuring out exactly what you've got with DJU.
It's fascinating to me to think about what's at stake. You're right. The Miami game, I mentioned this at the end of the year, but now that we've known what they've brought in and what Florida State certainly has brought in, you start to think about the importance of that game for Miami. It's at home for them. It's at Hard Rock. They have to win that game. They got to end the losing streak against Florida State. The perception is certainly that Florida State is quite a bit ahead of Miami. Obviously, Mario's trying to chip away at that, has done well in recruiting. This is a game that all of those fans and all those players, and he will certainly circle. If they lose that game, and fast forward, they come to Tallahassee the following year, Florida State should have a good football team. Like, you could see this streak extending like we've seen so many streaks in this series get weird, 4 to 6 in a row.
Yeah, and that's where it's one of those games where you do that in your mind. You say, okay, well, if we can't beat them this year at home, when are we going to beat them?
Right.
And Florida State's been in that position with Clemson, at times in the past and vice versa. And I think, the fact that Florida State won that game at Clemson last year is a big deal. Coming into this year. And it was funny, I was watching a podcast with Clemson Clemson featured podcast, and they were talking about what they've done in the portal and what they haven't done in the portal, and the concerns about Cade Klubnik. And I think those people are more concerned about Cade Klubnik than maybe we realize. I just think that they're very concerned about what they've got there at quarterback, and they've obviously lost a lot of pieces, and so now you get them at home. It's going to be interesting. I think the ACC is wide open, but I don't know that. I'm not sure if Clemson's one of the contenders, or at least one of the top contenders. It's going to be interesting to see what they look like.
It'd be nice to have them here. That'll be a raucous atmosphere. You got a chance to solidify that you're once again the king of the conference. You beat them there. You won the ACC. If they come here and you beat them, and you continue,
it would be nice to beat them comfortably. It would be nice.
Well, it would be nice to beat them comfortably. But I start to think about, like, there are a lot of big moments at stake for rivals within the ACC. Like, Florida State's in a good place coming off of 13-0. Miami's still hungry, still trying to climb. Clemson trying to get back to where they were after a 4-loss season, including a home loss to us. Florida State is really kind of in a nice position because I think we know that at this point, with the upgrades within the portal and then what you brought back with roster retention, and that good news, again, as I mentioned earlier, continues with Farmer coming back, you really know that the floor is not as far as we thought it was going to be when the season ended and you saw the names of those that were leaving the program. I think we went from, oh man, this could be like 7-5 to thinking, yeah, they shouldn't do any worse than 9-3.
Yeah, and that's where it depends on when you said it. Because I know a couple weeks ago I probably said 8-4 was probably you'd be happy with 8-4. I said it in one show we did, and then you look at what they've added in, and it's like I don't know if you'd be happy with 8-4. 8-4 you can live with probably, and that is probably about the basement. Right
That's
now.
The cutoff, yeah.
But what you'd be happy with, I don't know that you'd be happy next season with anything less than probably 10 wins. I think you could live with 8-4 and certainly 9-3. But I don't think anybody's going to be happy with what this roster looks like right now. And the fact you have a fifth-year quarterback back running the offense, well, not now running the offense, and all the pieces they've added in. I don't know if anybody would be happy with anything less than 10 wins. And there's no way any of us would have predicted that, even before things started going south in December. I just think the perception was going to be that next year was going to be a somewhat of a step back. And I think they're positioned to not have much of a big step back as we thought.
Well, think about it, Ira. If you're going to say that the worst case scenario is 8-4, and again, we're not doing W's and L's. That's just kind of fun because the schedule comes out this week for people wondering why we're so intensively looking at the schedule. You would have to tell me that we're going to lose to Notre Dame. You're going to have to tell me we would lose to I'm trying to find 4 losses. Yeah. You'd have to lose to Miami. You'd have to lose to Clemson. You'd have to lose to I don't think you're going to lose to Florida, Ira. Not in Tallahassee. So yeah. So who's the 4th loss to? North Carolina? Is it to who is it? Georgia Tech and Ireland? I mean, who is it?
I'm not looking at the schedule in front of me. Is Louisville? Do they get Louisville?
No.
That's a plus because Louisville is definitely stacking up in the portal.
Yeah, they got like 20 plus guys. It's crazy, and Brom's a good coach, and he gets it. He's trying to flip that thing, and he did a good job already. But yeah, I mean, you would play them in all likelihood if they have the kind of year they're hoping to have. You'd play them in the ACC championship game. So really, your conference games, we don't, again, for the ones we don't know when they are, your conference games are Miami on the road. You got North Carolina at Doak. You got Clemson at Doak. You got Boston College at Doak. You do have Duke on the road, but no Elko. They should fall off. You've got Notre Dame on the road, and you got Georgia Tech in Ireland. That's your ACC slate right there.
Yeah, to finish 8-4, you're going to have to lose a couple games to teams you should not lose to.
Boom, period, right? That's it. That's all. All right, brother, tonight, the Smash. I'll look forward to watching you and Tom. Be good, man.
Thanks, FC, man.
Yep, take care. That's Irish FL, Warchant.com. Yeah, Tom, I'm adjusting my – and I was perhaps maybe the most negative of everybody as the year ended, at least internally. I thought, ooh, this is going to be kind of problematic. Let's see what they do here. I thought whether or not they would choose to take their lumps and just ride with Brock Glenn, which I would have been okay with because I like Brock and I think his upside is very good. But they went and got the bridge quarterback with a ton of experience, and then they've loaded up on the portal with double digits. So now all of a sudden my low point here is like I've gone from 7-5 to they shouldn't do any worse than 9-3.
Yeah, just looking at the schedule and the opponents, and for clarity's sake, I saw some people mention in the chat. It is true. It's November 9th is Notre Dame. So
yeah, Notre Dame's November the 9th. That's right.
So that's locked in. It's going to be a little cold. Hopefully it's not
too bad. Early November. It'll be all right.
The last time we were there was like 8 or 10 degrees at kickoff when we played them in November. That was I went with the flu. We went to the tailgate, but hopefully
it was a night game. It was nice. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Refreshing in some ways. Maybe smelly in others in the dump of a town. The way I'm looking at it is 8 shoulds and then 4 will sees based upon how portal shakes out, how the other team's schedules look leading up to Florida State, like all those circumstances and those context clues. Are they playing FSU off of a bye? Is Florida State coming off of a rivalry game and they've got a brutal 2-week stretch? But I think independent of any of those concerns, you should win 8 of them. And then those other 4 are, all right, how does it actually lay out in the schedule? Where do you play these teams?
It's weird with all the renovation going on at the stadium. It's a tough year to do that. I understand why, but it's a tough year to do the renovation because the games at home, even the games that aren't against juggernauts or, high-profile teams, brands, are kind of fun games. Like Memphis coming here is a fun game. That's September the 14th, by the way. That's a fun game. Florida comes here. Cal comes here. You don't ever get to see Cal. Not that you sit around wishing to see Cal, but that's just a weird opponent for Florida State, but it's here. So Cal comes here. Clemson comes here. North Carolina comes here. Like the home slate's really good. Just going to be really weird.
And then but it's also everything that we're trying to learn this week is about the middle chunk of the schedule, because we know where we are on August 24th. We're in Dublin. We know that next week we're supposed to be playing Boston College. It was leaked out. I forget the circumstances of that. But we're going to be playing Boston College, I believe, on Sunday or Monday night on Labor Day weekend. Then you've got Memphis on the 14th. I would imagine with a lot of buys to burn, you'll probably get one after that Labor Day weekend. And then 3 of your November opponents.
Yeah.
Notre Dame on the 9th, Charleston Southern on the 23rd, then Florida, of course, where Florida fits. So quite literally from about September the 21st through the month of October is like where all this shuffling is going to occur. And the question is, with the extra bye week this year, do they actually flex one for the 16th of November? Do we have a November bye, or is it the 2nd of November? It's just, that's the fun part of it. But we know 6 of the opponents, essentially, as we sit here today. It's just how do the other 6 fit into the middle of the schedule?
Just make sure you give us the bye before we head down to the road, play Miami.
There it is.
And then give us the other bye right before we play Florida here. That's the equitable and fair thing to do.
Well, we have Charleston Southern, so we're all okay there.
Oh, that's true. That's right. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
News now.
A man accused of shooting 3 family members and then killing a Tallahassee police officer who was trying to catch him will spend the rest of his life in prison. Friday afternoon, Tyrone Cleveland entered a no-contest plea to murder, attempted murder, and other charges. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the June 2022 murder of Tallahassee police officer Christopher Ferriello. He could have faced the death penalty if convicted at trial. Cleveland was wanted for shooting 3 members of his family at his home earlier the same night. Officer Ferriello later spotted Cleveland's car and was pursuing on Capitol Circle Northwest when Cleveland made an abrupt U-turn and rammed into Ferriello's patrol car. A man was injured after a shooting in Cairo. Police say the shooting was reported at 8 p.m. at Holder Park. The victim, Dexter Shepard, drove himself to a Grady County hospital with injuries to his hand and leg. He was later discharged. The suspect information has not been released. This is an active investigation. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at Macklemore Systems.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Daytime highs approaching 65 this afternoon under mainly cloudy skies, easterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Slight chance of rain showers tonight. Lows dip down to about 54, overcast skies. Slight chance of rain showers tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 69, overcast skies. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 64 degrees.
I'm Greg Tisch, and I want to share how it all began at Tallahassee Community College. During a quiet moment on a fishing trip in 1963, FSU President Gordon Blackwell looked to Lewis Hill, who was a member of the Leon County Board of Public Instruction, and said, "Lou, why don't you get a junior college?" When Lou told Gordon he felt the college would compete with FSU, Gordon responded, "Nah, you ought to have one." We don't know if they caught any fish that day, but they did catch a big idea.
TCC thanks our community for 58 years of support. We look forward to moving into the future together.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu. Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's
was awesome. It's just one of those cool sporting moments. It is seldom seen. Then you had a chance to watch Nick Dunlap win over the weekend, and the reason that is significant for those that don't know, he is a sophomore at Alabama. So this is insane. And he's the first amateur winner of a PGA Tour event since Phil Mickelson did it back in 1991. And by the way, Phil Mickelson did it as a junior at Arizona State in 91, 5 months before his 21st birthday. How about this kid with that putt to win that event in that moment? And man, like watching him over that putt, I was sick to my stomach. I want to see, I always talk about wanting to see greatness, wanting to see precedent, wanting to see something. I don't know why I didn't pay attention in 91 when Phil won. I don't think I was all in on golf the way I am now, but damn it, this was awesome.
So it's something I missed completely this week. And I saw the headline. I thought, wow, that's really cool. And then I looked at the leaderboard, and it's wild. It makes no sense, especially in this age with how early guys come out and how early they reclassify to become pros. But I'll tell you what, buddy, the next happiest person in the world is Bezadenhout, who finished in second and made a full first place winner share $1.5 million to be a runner-up. That's a nice place to be because the amateur cannot accept the prize money. He can't declare on the spot, reclassify, and take the money. It's got to go to the next guy in line.
So think about this. My man Dunlap, this amateur at Alabama, shoots 64, 65, 60, goes into Sunday with the opportunity to win this tournament, and then proceeds to have a couple of moments where you go, ooh, yeah, he's well aware of what is happening and what's on the line. The greatest thing about winning that thing is the grind in which he came back and won it, because he throws it away. There's one moment where the audio is picked up, Tom, and bless his heart, I think it's on number 7 when he's falling to pieces. My man dropped the hard F in that word. It was a audible, solid, you and me on the golf course. Somebody just yanked one left. And there's that moment. And then on 18, as he's walking up, he's got to get up and down. He goes way right to avoid the water left. And Justin Thomas, to his credit, trying to keep him from being nervous, because he's clearly nervous. He just hit one into the gallery. As they're walking, of course, his fellow Alabamian, right? So Justin went to Alabama. He looks over at him, and the camera and the mic catches him, go, hey, is that your first spectator drilling? And the kid, nervous with those eyes that are like looking off in the distance, goes, you think I hit a spectator? And Justin goes, well, the percentages. It was fantastic. I had to give him credit, but he gets up and down, makes a 6-footer with like your knees shaking. It was awesome to watch. And then in the interview, he's trying to be composed, and as he's talking, he starts crying. Not like weeping. He doesn't even realize tears are coming down his face. Can you imagine winning a PGA Tour event as a sophomore in college?
No, and I don't think he might be one of the more decorated players of his generation. Like, he might go on to be Phil, which is, again, that's the last person who accomplished this. And Phil had a pretty good career, and Phil would have had a better than pretty good career. It's Hall of Fame, but like best of the best if Tiger didn't exist at the same time as Phil.
Right. Yeah.
So he may go on to do all of those things, but man, can he drink legally?
I don't know. He's a sophomore?
That's right on the line. That's right on the line. So you win a PGA tournament. There's no equal to that when you're not even a pro, that you go in and you hawk down all the pros. Now, he might go and shoot 75, 74 in his next collegiate tournament and look like an idiot, but that's golf. That's what golf is.
American Express gave Dunlap the sponsor's exemption to the tournament about 2 weeks ago. There was once a time, Tiger Woods in 96, that elite amateur golfers thinking about a path to the PGA Tour would not want those exemptions. Players were and are allowed 7 exemptions in a year. And the thinking then was to take them after you turn pro so that you might earn your tour card in those 7 starts. But obviously this is nuts. Just golf. He's not going pro anytime soon, any of that. He's going to finish out at Alabama. He's got Now, he's probably got, as folks have pointed out in this, plenty of NIL money.
Mm-hmm.
Eat at Alabama. He's a stud. So I'm sure he's, junior champ and all that stuff. So he's a stud. But man, you don't see too many people hit good shots in that situation at that age with all that's on the line. I every time I see it, I think, man, they're made of something different. Brett McCabe, who we've had on the show before and who I know who's a sports psychologist, has worked over at FSU, did stuff with Jimbo Fisher when he was here, currently works at Alabama, works with a ton of other programs all around college baseball, college football, college golf. Brett McCabe was his sports psychologist. I should reach out to him this week. But anyhow, it's amazing, like the things that you have to tell kids or tell adults at this point in order not to focus on all that's on the line right there.
No, man, this is close to a year ago now. It was last winter at Southwood. I'm on 15 green, and I've got a 6-footer up the hill to go 1 under for the day. And I wanted to vomit. And I'm just with 3 friends. I did not make that putt, and I shot 76 that day. I did not finish strong. But just throw in everything that actually matters, not this round that doesn't matter. And
throw in the fact that the gallery is hovering. People are like, it's going to happen. Like, you could feel it. It was nuts.
Yeah.
Good work out of you, sir. Good to talk to you tonight. Tom will join Ira Schafel on the Smash, 7 o'clock. You guys are going to want to tune in there. Good job out of you, director. Our appreciation to all of you for tuning in, as always. And our appreciation to Mike Tomkowitz as well, joining us on the program to illuminate what's going on with the lawsuit. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Peace.